Hey guys, it's Sebastian from AskSebby, and today we are going to look at the status of the $1,200 stimulus for people, a new $484 billion stimulus that was just approved for businesses, and then how Chase dealt with other businesses in the last batch through their concierge service. Depending on if you're affected, you might get angry for that last story. One big favor before we dive into all of this is to give this a thumbs up. It really does help with that algorithm, and if you are someone that wants to learn about how to use credit cards and bank accounts to your advantage, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications. For the first one, if you are someone still waiting for that payment, your best bet is going to be checking on the IRS site. There is a tool that lets you know what the status of your payments is. If you are someone that has done electronic payments with the IRS before, then it's going to be electronic and it's going to be a lot faster. If you are someone that hasn't, it might make sense to enter your information just to expedite that process if you need the money. I feel like most people can benefit from getting the money sooner rather than later. If you don't want to do that and you're waiting for the paper check, it might take a while depending on your income. People who have lower incomes are going to get it a bit sooner, and it's pretty much a weekly process where they're going through different income strands. So if you make less than $10,000, you should get it by April 24th. If you make $100,000 or less, then you should get it by June 26th. Maybe I'm crazy, but it seems like it takes a lot more time than it should for these paper checks. The United States is pretty much the most powerful country in the world, if not in our lifetime or the world's lifetime. So it has a big budget, it can do a lot, but I don't know why this is taking so long. Factor in that the IRS budget is $11.7 billion, and you would just expect things to be a lot faster. On the note of the $1,200, if you are someone that already has their basics covered and you're not looking to use that money for food or for rent, then I'd consider looking into something like EDIL, where you can get 2 free stocks for trying out their platform. And the expected value that you're getting from those 2 free stocks is about $30. Technically $28.87 based off the nerdy math that I did in a prior video. 30% return on investment for your $100 that you're putting in to try the platform isn't too bad at all, and if you do want to check that out, it's going to be down below in the description box. Moving on to the big news story, the House just approved a $484 billion stimulus for small businesses and for hospitals. The last step for this is going to be having the president sign it, and I think it's going to go through. There's not really any reason for him not to. One really interesting thing about this one is that $60 billion, so 12.4%, is going to go to community-based lenders, small banks, and credit unions. If you are a small business that is looking to apply, then I'd strongly recommend looking into one of these smaller credit unions or banks or fintech companies, just because you're more likely to get actually processed and get your money. I'll be talking about this a bit more of the Chase Concierge service as the last topic. As a reminder, you can have multiple applications as long as they're not approved anywhere else. So you can think about it as you submitting the information, them reviewing it and approving that information, and them waiting to submit it. So if you aren't at step 3 for a lot of these places, then it makes sense to plant more seeds just to make sure that you actually get your money. If you're not really sure where to look for these smaller places, I'd recommend using something like Cabbage with a K. They match you with smaller lenders in their network. So think of submitting one application and them putting it out to multiple people. Another thing too is to please have all of your documents lined up, just because if you don't, then your chance of getting approved is going to be pretty low. For most people, there's going to be 4 big pieces. It's going to be your 2018 or 2019 taxes as number 1. Number 2 is your Form 941. Number 3 is going to be your payroll reports and all of that documentation. And then number 4 is going to be your bank statements. If you are someone in the tech world, if you run a startup, then you probably use something like Gusto, and they do have a specific form in their platform for you to just pull all that information. Side note, if you are someone that wants to try Gusto, you can get a $100 Amazon gift card. It's something that I've used for a lot of my prior startups, and it's what I recommend to other people who have small businesses and just want something that's very simple and has a very good user interface. The final takeaway for this part of the video is to please apply via a smaller issuer, whether it's a credit union, whether it's going through Cabbage, or whether it's using a startup or a fintech company, just because I actually want to see you guys get approved. JP Morgan even told their small business customers right now to please apply through other banks, just because they're worried that funds are going to run out. So if you're still stuck in stage 1, then you're probably not going to get anything through Chase. The final story we're going to end with is a New York Times article about Chase and their concierge service. From this, it seems like there were 2 different levels. There were the normal people, and then there was the concierge level that didn't have to go through that online queue. Citi and also US Bank did the same thing. So for example, Citibank Private Banking is going to be $25 million in assets. Chase is a lot lower at $10 million in assets, but they do have a priority for this higher income, higher net worth group. From the data, almost all of the bigger companies who fit this criteria, who wanted the PPP loan, ended up getting it. On the flip side, only 1 in 15 retail banking customers who wanted it, got it. To put it into perspective, 8,500 of these larger companies ended up getting it compared to 18,000 smaller companies. So yes, technically there were more smaller companies who got it, but you can kind of see how the math is going to be interesting given the size of the loans. And then factor in the number of small businesses who were pretty much left out to dry. Personally, I am a bit conflicted here because on one hand, I, along with a lot of other people I knew, ended up getting screwed because we were waiting and there wasn't any money coming. On the other hand, as a business owner, you do see that they have a fiduciary duty and their goal is to make money, which is fair. I think the best example that my friend gave me for this is, imagine if you're online dating on Tinder, you expect them to be looking at other people. You might not be on the top of the list, but for them, it's a big favor if they told you that, hey, you're probably not really going to get to the next stage. It's not abnormal to be seeing a lot of people in that early stage, but knowing that this path is not going to work means that you can put your other time, your other eggs and stuff like that. That's a very bad phrase given what we're talking about. Your other eggs into these other baskets. That way you actually have a chance there. If Chase outright told people that, hey, you're in stage 1, you're probably not going to get it. Use something else in order to try to get it. At least you'll have a better chance. But instead, what they ended up doing in that first round was stringing you along, saying, oh, don't worry about it, we're trying to process it as fast as we can, but they kind of knew on the back end that the money was going to run out. I guess right now they are now telling you that, hey, you probably aren't going to get it, but I feel like they could have done that within the first or second day when they knew that they were oversubscribed for this. Hey, we're not interested in you, you're not getting to the next stage, / hey, you're probably not going to get the money from us. That's cool, I'm going to run to these other platforms. I've said this so many times in this video, but please, please, please check out these other platforms if you are someone looking and who needs one of these PPP loans. So that's the news and also my take on it for some of them. My question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on each of these topics? Are you waiting for that $1,200 still? And also, are you looking at that next batch of PPP? Let me in the community know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you are someone that wants to get 2 free stocks, consider Webull, link down below. And if you know anyone else who'd benefit from what we just talked about, share this with them. It'll probably help them out. But otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.